Hello, I am Tine from Victoria Designs, and as you might already know, we have a purple and gold kit, a teal and gold kit, a navy blue and gold kit. Well, today I am adding a deep red and gold kit to the collection. No special theme, just pretty images in just those colors. And Katia has made a tutorial with these printables to create a guest book. For a wedding perhaps. It just flips out like crazy and has an incredible amount of writing spots. Katia has great tutorials in crafts on our channel. Definitely go check those out, the link is below. And like always, you can use other kits to make this tutorial as well. If you're like, ugh, red and yay, blue. Well, pick one of our blue kits. And of course, you can use the printables of this deep red and gold kit as well to make many other crafts. For more information about these printables, you can discover them in my Etsy shop. The link is below as well. And now, enjoy crafting.
All right, let me show you what it is we are going to be making today. So this is a wedding guest book. At least that's what I would use it for. I designed it with leaving lots of spots for signatures and writing in mind. So that's how I've designed it. Obviously you could fill in all the spots that I've left blank with paper, but this is what I've wanted to use it for. So very simple cover. I've taken some wood embellishments and painted them gold just because there was some butterflies in the papers themselves, so I just wanted a little bit extra. I thought this would be the perfect spot for the couple to write, you know, their names and maybe guest book or something on there so they could fill that out themselves. The spine, I've used this faux leather sticker that I got from the dollar store just to add a little bit of blingy bling and some sparkle, and then just simple back. Inside front cover, I left fairly plain, so just some spots for guests to write. And then on the first page, these two pieces are magnetized and go up and down, and then there's space on the back sides and here for guests to write. I've sized a lot of it to fit perfectly with the journaling cards that come with the Victoria Designs collections. Over here, just a double matted ephemera piece with a little butterfly. Open it up, and again, more spots for guests to write. And then this also opens up to the side. It's quite obvious where you can write, and you can also write on these pieces as well, but I wanted to leave extra space because, you know, some weddings have up to like 150 guests, so I wanted to make sure there was lots of space. Each page has a big pull-out. Okay, so one side is quite plain and then the other side has patterned paper on it. I've just used some of the word ephemera on either side so you have something to pull on when you're pulling it out of the page. Okay, page 2. So up here, these are sized perfectly again for the journaling cards, and they open to the side. So quite a bit of space there, and they're all magnetized. Okay, and then this down here, it's got a little pull tab, and it pulls down. Spot for writing there, and then it opens again, so more space for writing, and then this whole thing comes up, and we've got some beautiful ephemera decorating the page, but also lots of room to write. Okay, over here on page 3, this gorgeous image. I didn't want to cut it apart because I loved, this was like all one piece of paper and I really liked it. So right now, the page is locked closed. But if you lift this up, that there, pull this to the side, and this one down. So now you've got all these spots for guests to write, but now the page is unlocked so that you can open it up. All right, and then again, lots of spaces to write. And then you just hold one of these up and then fold the other ones, and that's it. And then here's the other pull out for the page, so same as the last one, and then it's just got different pattern paper on the back. Okay, on page 4, I think this one's my favorite actually. So this is magnetized and goes to the side, And you've got more of the beautiful clock ephemera just to kind of decorate it a little bit. And then this latch opens and goes down. We've got the little envelope here that's magnetized, and inside is just some ephemera and just a little plain white booklet that someone can write on. Okay, and then you open this to the top and more space. So it's just like a really wide waterfall. Okay, and then that's the inside of the page there. And then it all closes up like that, and then latches. And if you don't have a metal buckle like this, you don't need to use a metal one. You can just use magnets, you can use swing tabs, you could do a ribbon closure. I do have a video that I put out recently on my channel, Lunar Sun Creations, that goes over all kinds of closures for album pages, so you can go over there and check that out if you want an alternative. And then this is the back cover with the large journaling cards and just a couple of border strips. Okay, perfect. So that is what we'll be making. Now I'll go over the materials list and I'll show you the papers that we'll be using, and then we'll start creating. Okay, so let's go over all the materials that we're going to need, and then I'll show you the paper collection, and then we'll get started. Okay, so obviously we're going to need some cardstock. I'll be using white for this project because I want this to be something that people can write in, so I want there to be a lot of white space. So I used about 30 sheets of 8.5 by 11. I'm using 80-pound cardstock. Okay, we'll need adhesive. I like to use both score tape, the double-sided tape, and wet adhesive in conjunction with each other to keep things very, very strong. We'll need a paper trimmer, scissors, a ruler, and magnets. I believe I used 28 magnets in this project. We're going to need a few brads for some swing tabs. Okay, so just a few brads. Some chipboard for the cover. Some Tyvek, also for the binding and the cover. If you don't have Tyvek, you could use duct tape, fabric, any kind of material that is very thin and hard to tear. Okay? Your scoreboard along with your scoring tool and bone folder. We will of course need our patterned paper. I'm going to show you that in a sec. And as a couple optional things, I like to ink the edges of my paper, so I'll be using some Distress Oxide Vintage Photo and an ink dauber to do that. And on the binding, I think I'm going to use this faux leather sticker sheet that I got at the dollar store. This is completely optional. I just wanted to add a little extra red. I might add some lace as well just to make it look a little fancy, but we'll see. The decorating is completely up to you. Okay, I'm just going to move this and then we'll show you the papers that we're working with. So this is the standard kit of the red and gold paper collection from Victoria Designs. I did not print all of them. I only printed what I felt that I would need. So I'll just kind of quickly go through some. There's a few that I thought I might need 2 of, so I've printed a couple extra. So we've got some horizontal papers, we've got some vertical but very simple pieces that are good for, you know, the eye needing to rest. So you need some solid spots in there. There's quite a few pieces of cut aparts, some gorgeous things to cut apart, and I like that they do a border around it so it's much easier to cut out. Some little kind of stamp-like images, and then we've got some larger cut aparts, some pockets, like all kinds of things. Then we've got the journal pages. The journal pages come in 3 different sizes. This is the middle size. The largest size goes almost right to the very edge of the page when you print it. And these ones that I printed are just a little smaller than that. So quite a few of those. Some gorgeous imagery on them. And then the third size of the journal pages are these cute little tiny ones, and I'm going to be using quite a few of those as well. But again, I didn't print out all of them. Oh, and here we've got, sorry, these are out of order because I was already kind of figuring some things out. Here's some more cut aparts. We've got some words and just little borders and tags, and more of the patterned papers. I'm doing a horizontal album, but you can still use some of these vertical images. And I get asked quite a bit what kind of paper I use to get these printed on. I print everything at my local copy shop, and I print it on an 80-pound cardstock that has a silk finish. That's what gives it that little bit of sheen. You don't have to do it on a silk finish paper, but I just like the look of it, and it is the same price as the regular matte cardstock, so I always go with this. Okay, so that is the paper collection. And now we will start getting all of our pieces cut and ready to go. Okay, starting with our base pages. We only have 2 base pages, so you need 4 pieces of cardstock that are 8.5 inches by 10 inches. So if you're working in centimeters, that is 21.6 centimeters by 25.4. Okay, I don't really work in centimeters, so hopefully these are, I believe they're as close as I can get to the inches, the conversion. And we are going to score at half on the 8.5 inch side. So that is 1.27 centimeters on the 21.6 centimeter side. We're going to do that to all 4 of our base pages. I have a tiny bit of a sore throat, so I apologize if I will try not to cough, and if well, I'll try to edit it out, but I might sound just a little bit funny or raspy, so if you're wondering why that is why. Yeah, but it's gonna go away really quickly because I'm drinking some beautiful licorice and elm bark tea, so hopefully that is going to help me out. There may or may not be a tiny bit of whiskey in there as well, because that can't hurt, right? Okay, so back to the project. We have got our 4 pieces scored. Now we are going to add some score tape to the 1/2 inch section of each one of those. We're putting our score tape on the valley side of the line. So when you score something, you've got a raised edge on one side and then the indent on the other side. So we call that the mountain and the valley in album making. So we are going to put it on the valley side, leaving just a tiny gap between the score tape itself and the line. I don't know, I'm sorry, it's very dark in here, so I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that, but hopefully you can. It is quite a dreary day outside right now, and it's very cloudy, so it's not very bright in here. But we need the rain, so I am thankful that it's here. Okay. So once we have got our score tape on all of our score lines there, we are going to miter the corners. So I'm going to do 2 at a time. So that means we're just going to cut at an angle, just taking off the little corner. So just going from the score line to the edge of the paper, just at a little bit of an angle. So we're going to do that to all 4 of them. this just creates a bit of a neater fold. When we do fold these over and put them together, it's more aesthetics than anything. Okay, we're gonna get rid of our biddies. We are going to use our bone folder to crease every one of these score lines very well. The better your score line is creased, the better your pieces will go together and the better they will move, etc. Okay, last one. Okay, now we are going to remove the tape backing from one of the pieces. I'm going to add a thin line of wet adhesive as well. Now you can just use the score tape if you so desire, but just know that just using score tape, it will eventually come apart. It won't last years doing just score tape. I have discovered that from experience. But you also can use just wet adhesive. The only reason that I don't is that I am impatient, and the conjunction of the wet adhesive and the dry adhesive, the score tape allows everything to stick right away. Whereas if you use just the wet adhesive without the score tape, it's both a blessing and a curse that it allows things to move for a few seconds. So it's good because you can make adjustments, but it's bad if you're someone like me that wants to move very quickly, because then I kind of jostle things and get things out of alignment because I'm not patient enough to wait for the glue to dry. So that's my long-winded story on why I use both. All right, we're gonna do the same process with this second set of base pages, or second set of pieces. Okay, so the one end that we've just removed the tape backing from is going to go to the opposite end of the next piece. Okay, and then take the tape backing off the opposite piece, add some wet adhesive, and just close it over. Okay, and it should just automatically line up because you've already got one side done. Okay, and you're essentially just making like an opening on both ends, like two pieces together to form like a weird tube. Okay, so one end of each of these is going to go onto our binding system. The other end is going to be open so that you can put a large tag in there. If you don't want to put a large tag in there, you can just put some score tape there and close it up. Okay, so now that our base pages are done, we can get our pieces ready for page 1. The pieces you will need for page 1, the A is 5.5 inches by 8 inches. In centimeters, that is 14 by 20.3. You'll need 2 B pieces. They measure 3 1/4 by 5 1/2 centimeters, 8.25 by 14. And then 1 C piece that is 7 1/4 by 8 inches, or 18.4 centimeters by 20.3. Okay, so get those cut and grab your scoreboard again. Okay, the A piece, we are going to score it on the 5.5 inch side, so the shorter side, and we're going to score it at half, which is 1.27 centimeters. The B pieces, again, will be scored at 1/2 inch on the 5.5 inch side. And do that to both of the B's. And then the C will be scored on the 7 1/4 inch side. And we will score it as well at half. Okay, so that's all the scoring we're going to need to do. So put your scoreboard away for now. And once again, we will be adding our score tape like we did on the base pages to that 1/2 inch section of each piece on the valley side. So we're going to kind of go through the same steps for each page, almost like in an assembly line fashion. And I find that that works the best. That's my way of doing things. Okay, and once again we are going to miter each one of the corners. So again, just chopping a little bit off. The B's I'll do together just because they are the same size. Okay, and then the C. Okay, get ready your biddies. And now we're going to fold and crease once again. Okay, let's put these on our first base page. So your openings of your first base page, they're to the left and to the right. Your piece A is going to go on the right edge of the page. Add a tiny bead of wet adhesive. Okay, and right at the very edge of the page, get it as straight as you can. Okay, there's your A. The B pieces are going to go on the far right edge of the A piece. One's going to go at the top, one's going to go at the bottom, and they're going to overlap. Okay, so one right up here, and then one at the bottom. Fabulous. And then your C piece is going to go on the left side. Now, it might need just the smidgiest of smidges of trims because you want to make sure that when it is sitting here that both of these can open. And I can already tell that this one's just, see how it's catching just a tiny bit? We don't want that. So I'm just going to trim like not even 1/8 of an inch, like the tiniest bit. So dry fit it first. Okay, like it's literally like a sliver, okay? And then let's see how that feels now. Okay, that seems pretty good. Okay, so let's add our wet adhesive to this one. Sorry if you can hear the squeaking of that wet adhesive. It's probably not a very nice sound. Okay, there we go. And now we're just going to add a couple magnets. We're going to add one going from the C piece to the A. Okay. So I think I'm going to put it going from the front. So if you haven't used magnets before, here's the process, or one of the kinds of processes. So we're going to put a little tiny piece of score tape onto the front of the C. We're going to put one disc magnet right there. We're going to take another disc magnet and let it find its buddy through the cardstock. We're going to put another tiny piece of score tape on it. Okay, and then we're just going to close that down so that will adhere the other magnet in place. You want to always make sure that magnets are around a ½ inch or so away from the edge of the paper because you want to make sure that your pattern paper will completely cover it. And then I like to always add some score tape over top of them so that they don't, sometimes they're so strong that they just want to go completely together and they'll actually come off the page. They're very strong little suckers. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing over here with the bees. Okay, so just one tiny piece of score tape. Another magnet on the back, piece of score tape over top of that, and then close it down, and then add a bit of score tape over top of them. Okay, now we can move on to page 2. Okay, the pieces that we will need for page 2. A is 10 inches by 6.5 inches, which is 25.4 by 16.5 centimeters. Your B pieces, you're going to need 3 of them, and they will measure 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches, which is 9.5 centimeters by 12.7. And I've got 2 of mine just a hair over 3 3/4 inches, just because there was 1/8 of an inch that didn't quite work into it, so I've cut them just a hair bigger than 3 3/4, just so you know. And then piece C is 6 5/8 by 10 inches, which is 16.8 by 25.4 centimeters. Okay, so get those cut and grab your scoreboard once again. We are going to score A at half on the 6.5 inch side. So that's 1.27 centimeters on the 16.5 centimeter side. The B's, each one of them is going to be scored at half on the 3 3/4 inch side. So again, 1.27. I'm just going to say ½ an inch from now on, because a lot of the measurements are ½ an inch, and you'll just know that it's 1.27 centimeters, okay? So those are the B's, and then the C, we are going to score at half, but also 5/8. So that's 1.27 and 1.6, and then at 3 5/8 inches. So that's just past the 3.5, and that is 9.2 centimeters. So let me recap that. On the 6 5/8 inch side, we're scoring at half, 5/8, and 3 5/8. Okay, so in centimeters, that is 1.27, 1.6, and 9.2. Oakley dokley. Alright, so once again, we're going to do the same process. Add in the score tape to the ½ inch sections, and then mitering the corners, and then folding and creasing. Okay, this is the first time that we've had a double score line, like creating a gusset here. So I just wanted to show you that the process is still the same. You're just cutting from the outside score line, so you're not cutting into the gusset. You're cutting from the score line that's the closest to the edge of the paper and then out at an angle. Okay, and then when you're folding these, make sure that you fold both of these tiny lines. I know they're close together and it's kind of finicky to do. I find what's easiest is to kind of start in the middle and almost like roll it over, if that makes sense, with my fingers. Okay, because we want that, this gusset is going to allow like another piece, this piece here is going to fold up and kind of underneath that gusset, so having that space will allow it to open and close easily. Okay, I've got the rest of my pieces already folded and creased, so let's start putting it together. So get the last base page that we were just working on, so we just did that. We're going to flip it over. Your A piece is going to adhere to the very top of this base page. Just like that. Okay, the B pieces are going to go at the top of the A in kind of in a little row. Okay, so they're going to go like this and like this and like this. So what I find is the easiest is to do the two outside edges first, and then put the center one on centered in between the two. Okay, so one over on the far left side. Okay, and then I'm going to do the next one so that the open edge is meeting the right edge of A. Okay, they're all going to be opening the same direction. Oh, oh, not quite straight. Okay, that looks better. Okay, and then this one will go right in between the other two. Oh no, this one's just, I'll put this one slightly lower. Nope, well, it's down now, so that's just the way it's going to be. Okay, and then our last piece, our C piece, is going to go right at the bottom of the page. If you can hear some rustling in the background, that would be my cat Zuri. He has found an empty box and he is quite enamored with it. So if you hear rustling, that's what that is. Okay, I might have to trim that one now that I've got it just slightly too low. If you ever make a mistake, don't panic. There is always a way to fix it. Ta-da! Okay, perfect. Now we're going to add our magnets. So this one will open down twice, okay? All right, so we're going to have a magnet on each of these. So once again, we're going to do the same thing that we did on the last one. So I'm just going to put 3 little pieces of score tape on the fronts of these. Add a magnet to each one. Let another magnet magnetize to its buddy on the other side of the cardstock. Okay, and then we will add a little bit more adhesive on that. Okay, and again, just a tiny bit of adhesive over top of each, and then we're going to put one magnet down here, closing the C piece to the very bottom bit of the A. I'm just going to use one. So do I want 2 sets of magnets? I might do 2 sets on this. It might not even need it, but I'm going to do 2 sets. One on each corner. So in this case, I'm adding 2 magnets that are magnetized together already. And then putting the score tape on. Okay, and then close it up to adhere those magnets. Okay, oh. See what I mean? These ones are really trying to stay together. Okay, I'm just gonna put some tape over these ones so they stay where I want them. There we go. Okay, there we are. So that is page 2. All right, and then each of these open up. And then that opens up. All right, so we can set that aside. And let's get our pieces for page 3. Okay, for page 3, we're gonna need 2 A pieces. They measure 5.5 inches by 7 5/8, which is 14 centimeters by 19.3. Your B pieces, again, you'll need 2, and they measure 5.5 inches by 3 3/4. So that is 14 centimeters by 9.5. And you'll also need 2 C pieces. They measure 5 inches by 4 1/4. That is 12.7 by 10.8 centimeters. Okay, once again, grab your scoreboard. Okay, I have apparently lost my bone folder in the past 3, or not my bone folder, my scoring tool in the last 3 minutes. I legitimately cannot find it anywhere on my desk. I just used it, cannot find it. So I guess I will just use my raggedy bone folder. All right, well, we are going to score the A's at half on the 5.5 inch side. So the shorter side at half. This doesn't do as nice of a score line, but it's what I'm going to have to work with. And if I could find a way to make money with my talent for losing things, I would be very rich. And it would be wonderful. Except everything would be lost all the time, like it is now. I have no idea what I did with it. Okay, so your B pieces we're going to score at half on the 5.5 inch side, so the longer side. Again at half. And your C pieces will be scored at half on the 4 1/4 inch side. So the shorter side at 1/2 inch. Okay, so you know the drill now. Score tape on the 1/2 inch sections, mite to the corners, fold and crease. I'm going to do this off camera and I will come back to you as soon as this part is done. Alright, bring in your second base page. Your 2 A pieces are going to go on the left and right side of your base page, center top to bottom. There's going to be just a smidge of space, like less than 1/4 inch above and below. Okay. Make sure they're very even with each other and there's like a perfect line all the way across. Okay. And now we're going to take our B pieces. Okay, so we're going to adhere the first one to the right A piece at the bottom on the left edge. Okay, so right here. Okay, right A, left edge at the bottom. Okay, the other B is going to go on the left A at the top on the right hand side. Okay, so right here. Get it as straight as you possibly can. Okay, so this one's going to open this way. This one's going to open this way. Okay, then you've got our C pieces. The first C, they're both going to adhere at the center line. One is going to flip down. The other one is going to flip up. Okay? Okay, so this one on the right hand side, the right A piece, it's going to adhere right here. So the top of it will hit the top of the A. And it's going to fold it down. And then the other one will do the opposite. Okay, so right now your A pieces can open up like this. But when you do this, so we're going to open up this bottom one, fold that down. Open that to the side. Open this up. Open that to the side. Now the page is locked. So now it does not open. So this is going to be its starting point. So now we're going to put magnets on each of these areas. Okay, so where is score tape? So we're going to put one over here. Have another magnet magnetize on the other side of the cardstock. Another tiny little piece of score tape. And there's that one. I'm going to put score tape over them as I go. Okay, this one down here. Alright, so you know how to put a magnet on now, so we're just going to continue with the other two pieces. Okay, so there are our magnets for that page. So I'll just show you once again how this goes. So just lift up one of them. It doesn't matter which one, just one of them. And then fold the next one over. Fold the next one up. Fold the next one over. And there we go. And now these can both open. So you don't need magnets on your A pieces because they will be locked into place when these are all closed. Cool, right? Okay, so I did this on another tutorial a long time ago. I called this Serenity Folio. So if you want to dig back in the archives of my channel, Lunar Sun Creations, then you'll be able to find that. Okay, so our final page, page 4, your pieces are as follows. A is 10 inches by 4 inches. So that's 25.4 centimeters by 10 centimeters. That's A. B is 10 inches by 5 inches. So that's 25.4 by 12.7 centimeters. C is 10 by 6 inches. So that's 25.4 by 15.2 centimeters. D is, I bet you think you're going to say 7, but I'm not. It's 10 inches by 6.5 inches. So that is 25.4 by 16.5. And then you'll need 2 E pieces. They measure 5.5 inches by 5, which is 14 centimeters by 12.2 centimeters. Okay, so get all those cut, rewatch them and write them down if you need to. And let's one more time get our scoreboard out. Still haven't found my scoring tool, so we're just gonna roll with it. The A piece, we are scoring at half on the 4-inch side. Okay, that's your A. The B, we will be scoring at half on the 5-inch side. C, half on the 6-inch side. So on the narrower side to each one of these. The D, again, half on the 6.5-inch side. And then the E's, we're scoring both of these at half on the 5.5-inch side. So the longer side at half. Okay, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Get your scoreboard out of the way. You know what to do. Do the score tape dance. Alright, once again, just to save a few minutes of you having to watch me do this, I'm going to do this off camera. So score tape, miter, fold, crease, and I'll be back. Alright, once you have all of your pieces folded and creased, and start putting it together. So starting with the A piece, it's going to go at the very top of your base page. We have just finished page 3 and flipped it over. Okay, A going right at the top of the page. There we go. Open that up. B is going to go just a smidge below the 1/2-inch section of A. Okay, so leaving just a tiny gap, about 1/8 of an inch gap between the edge of the 1/2-inch section of the A. Here, I'll just bring that up so you can see that. Okay, so just a tiny gap underneath the 1/2-inch section of the previous one. Okay, we're going to do the same thing for the C. It's going to go underneath with just a tiny gap. Okay, just like that. So you've got the C, B, A. All right, your D piece is going to go at the bottom, covering over the A, B, and the C. Okay, make sure everything is nice and straight. Okay, there we go. And now your E pieces are going to go on either side, the right and the left of the D piece. And then we're going to do a couple little swing tabs. We're going to do a couple little swing tabs here and here later on in the decorating process. Okay? Okay, so the E pieces going on the left and the right of the D. And then we're just going to add a couple magnets, and then I'm going to add all my pattern paper. I am going to do this off screen for the most part, just because the pattern paper does take me quite a few hours to put on, and this is meant to be about an hour and a half long video. But the decorating process is where everyone can shine in their own, you know, their own creativity can come through. I will come back and go through each page very slowly so you can do it exactly as I've done if you so desire, and kind of take screenshots or just rewatch it again. But I feel like adding the pattern paper is a very personal thing, because some people love to paper piece and do a lot of different pieces of paper on the same page. Some people just want one solid piece. It's a very personal thing. So you know what, actually I think I'm going to do swing tabs on all three of these, which means we're going to add the magnets as we add the swing tabs. So I'm not going to add any magnets at the moment. So that means that our page designs themselves are done. So I'm going to add my paper. I will come back and go through everything very slowly with you so you can see it and do the same thing if you so desire. And then we will do our binding and our cover. Okay, so let me show you what I've done so far with these pages. So I will just kind of open them slowly just so you can see. I've got a couple of the small journaling cards over here, just blank on the open bits. I wanted as much space for actually writing because it is supposed to be a guest book. And then I just paper pieced anywhere that needed to be covered up, if there was magnets or something that needed to be covered. On the inside, just kind of divided this so there was like spaces for writing. Another one of the large journaling cards, and then this opens up, and again just some paper piecing just so there's lots of space to write. You can certainly fill in all of this with paper, but because of the purposes that I want it to be used for, I wanted there to be a lot of writing space. Okay, so here is page 2. So I've sized these perfectly for the journaling cards. So these each open up like this, and you can write on here as well as on the white space. And then down here I do have one tiny little, it's like a Tim Holtz ring fastener. And then it opens down and opens again. And then this opens up. So again, just like bits and pieces of the papers and the ephemera just to divide up spaces. Okay, so that's 2. Page 3. So I used this pattern paper. This was all one piece, and I cut it up into 4 and put it on there. And then as you open this, so right now the page is locked, right? And as you open it, I've got white on the one side and then just the red paper on the other side. And as you open it, it's blank. These are just to cover up some writing that I had on the paper. And then when you open it like that, so we've got spaces for journaling or writing here and here. Okay. I mean, you can definitely decorate this however it is that you would like to do it. This is just how I'm doing it. And then on the last page, so the last page I did have a couple things that I wanted to show you. So here, I'm going to mimic what's on this side, but I'm going to use this as a swing tab. So right now I've backed one of the little kind of postage stamps on some white. So I've got one single magnet in between, like sandwiched in between these two pieces of paper. So I'm going to put this piece of paper down. I'm using my ATG. I think I forgot to mention the ATG in the materials list. I mean, you can just use double-sided adhesive of like score tape as well, or glue, or wet adhesive, whatever you like. Okay, so now I'm going to take a magnet and let it find its buddy and put just a little bit of double-sided tape, so just like we normally would. Okay, I'm going to kind of place this where I want it, like even between the two pieces. So there's that magnet there. Now we can put this piece of paper on. Okay, and now we're going to kind of mark. I'm just going to make a little mental note here. So right at the halfway mark. So we're going to put double-sided tape, like score tape, just halfway along here. Might do one more. Okay, and now the magnet will let us know where it's supposed to be there, and then we put that down, and hopefully, oh, we've got, I shouldn't have put that last line there. That's okay. We're gonna put a piece of paper here to cover that up. So let's go with this. Yeah, perfect size. Excellent. Fabulous. Okay, so now we've got a little magnetized closure there, and then over here I was just over on this side. I unfortunately had I had written on this piece, so I put something there, and I was just thinking that I'd put this here just to kind of mirror it. So I'm just going to put some adhesive here. And I don't think I need it all the way, so I'm going to cut this bit here. Okay, fabulous. And then I've just got some white here for journaling. Okay, so close that up, and then when we open this, so again, this is to cover, I'm putting a clasp here, so this is to cover the tines down here. And then just some paper piecing in the waterfall. I'll need some paper here as well. I'll finish putting that clasp on in a sec to show you. This was to cover some writing again. And so yeah, just bits and pieces. I've cut this one so that it kind of continued here. I mean, you don't have to do things the same way that I've done them. Just feel free to, you do you. Okay, but here I wanted to have a little clasp. So I just got this from, can't remember if it was eBay or Amazon, somewhere like that. Just They're very, I think I got 50 of them. The only thing I don't like about them is that they cause things to be very close to the edge. So anyway, I'm putting it where I want. I am marking with a marker where I want those holes to be. Opening this up, punching the holes. Okay, and then taking a couple brads and putting those brads through the holes. Okay, fabulous. And then we'll just use maybe a journaling card just to kind of put in the center there to cover that up. Okay, yeah, I think that's good. So I'll just put that there. Okay, fantastic. And there we go. All right, so those are our pages. So now we can move on to making our cover. Okay, so for the cover, you're going to need 2 pieces of chipboard that measure 10 3/4 inches by 9 inches. So that's 27.3 by 22.8 centimeters. And then you're going to need some cardstock to cover those. So you'll need 2 pieces that are 12 inches by 11 inches, which is 30.5 by 28. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add adhesive to one side of each of these chipboard pieces. Okay, so there we go. Now we are going to take the backing off and put it right in the middle of our piece of cardstock. I'm going to add a little bit of wet adhesive as well. Okay, I'm using like a pale gold cardstock, but feel free to use whatever color you so desire. I felt this would go nicely. Okay, flip her over. Okay, and then we're going to add double-sided tape all the way around the perimeter here. Okay, and then we're going to miter the corners. We're just going to go in at an angle until we hit the corner and then kind of out at an angle. So not, I don't usually go straight across, I usually kind of angle it a little bit. And then we are just going to kind of train the paper, encourage it to fold around the chipboard. Okay, and now one at a time, we are going to fold those sides up and around. Okay, and then just go around each of those sides and do the same thing. Okay, there we go. And now do the same thing with the other piece. Once we have these pieces done, we need some Tyvek. So, I've got a piece here that is 5 inches wide by 22 inches long. So that's 6.35 by 55.8 centimeters. If you don't have Tyvek, you can, like I said in the beginning, use fabric, use duct tape, just some kind of thin material that will not tear easily. So what we're going to do is I've got adhesive already on one side of it. We want 2 1/4 inches in between these two pieces. So I'm going to have it like this and it will wrap around like that. Okay, so I'm going to remove the tape backing first, add a little bit of wet adhesive, and then we will wrap it around. A lot of people say they can't find Tyvek, but whenever I look for it online, it seems to be everywhere. So, I mean, it's Tyvek. So just type that into a Google search and I'm sure something's going to come up because it's all over eBay, Amazon, Etsy, office supply stores, like it's all over the place. Okie dokie. So lay it like that, and then these will both go about 1 inch or so in. So we'll make sure that you've got 2 1/4 inches of space. So I probably could have brought that one in a little bit more, but that's okay. Is that about good? Perfect. Okay, excellent. And then bring one up and over, and then the other down to meet it. Okay, and then I'll go with my bone folder into the creases and just really crease it down. Okay, and then we can set that aside for the moment and we will get our binding happening. Okay, so for the binding, you'll need a piece of cardstock that is 7 3/4 by 8 3/4 inches. So that is 19.7 by 22.2. I've covered mine, the back of it, in Tyvek. You don't have to do that. I just want this to be super, super strong. It will last a long time without the Tyvek, but I'm a big fan of extreme strength. Okay, so we're gonna put it in our scoreboard and we are going to score it at, okay, I'm gonna say all the measurements in inches first and then I'll say them in centimeters, okay? So we're going at 1 3/4. Oh, that was 1 1/2. 1 3/4, 2, 2 1/2, 3 1/4, 4, 4 3/4, 5 1/2, 6 1/4, 6 3/4, and 7. Okay, so those are the measurements in inches. In centimeters, we've got 4.4, 5.1, 6.3, 8.2, what are we at? 10, 12, 14, 15.8, 17.1, 17.8. Okay, and so if you need to listen to those again, you can just rewind just a little bit. So now we are going to, on the back side, add some score tape to the first 3/4 inch section. And 1, 2, 3, and the fourth 3/4 inch section. Okay, and for now we're just going to add to those 2 bits. So I'm going to remove the backing, add a little bit of wet adhesive. Okay, and these 2 3/4 inch sections that are beside each other, I know it's really hard to see, but because it's white on white, but we are going to fold those together and then fold back on the score lines that are adjacent to it so that we get something that looks like this. Okay, so it's a little flange. So these are the 2 3/4 inch sections that are adhered together now. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with these 2. So you're going to have one space. This 3/4 inch section is the space in between the 2 flanges, and then these 2 are going to adhere to each other. Okay, so I'm going to remove this tape backing, add a little bit of wet adhesive. And again, we're going to push these 2 together. And then so that there's a score line here and a score line here, and they're both going to fold the opposite direction as the one we just folded together. Okay, so what you end up with is that. Okay, so this is where our pages are going to go onto. Okay, so now we're going to fold the rest of our score lines here. Sorry, I'm off camera here. It's easier to do when I'm close to it. Okay, and do the other side, and then we're going to add adhesive to this part and this part here, and adhesive on either side of each of these flanges, okay? Okay, just going to get some score tape on these bits here. Okay, so it should look like this at the moment. Okay, I'm going to do just a little bit of a miter on these flanges here. It just makes it easier for the pages to slide in. Okay. Now we can bring our cover back in. Open her up, And now this is going to sit right in between the, like right in the center of the spine. Okay, so we're going to remove the tape backing here and add a little bit of wet adhesive. Okay, and then adhere it smack dab in the center of your spine piece. Okay, and then you're going to need 2 more pieces of Tyvek that are the same length as before, so 22 inches, 55.8 centimeters. These ones only need to be about 2.5 inches wide, so around 6.35 centimeters wide. And we are going to wrap these around the edges of that binding system. Oh. Okay, so right to where the chipboard, oh, I forgot to put wet adhesive, that's all right. So we're gonna wrap it around, and the edge of the Tyvek should meet the edge of the first score line. And this just provides extra stability and strength to this so that the binding system will definitely not come off the album. Okay, and then do the same on the other side. Okay, so there we go. You've got your album cover with your binding system, and now we can put our pages in. So remove the tape backing from these flanges. I'm going to add just a little bit of wet adhesive. Take your first page, open it up to the center, and then literally just slide it onto that flange. Just make sure it is centered up and down, like top to bottom. Give it a press. Okay, and then we'll put the other one in. Okay, and make sure these are lined up perfectly with each other. Okay, perfectly. Perfect. So there are our pages in. Now we have to add pattern paper to the inside, front, and back cover, and then add some large tags if you so desire in the center of these pages here. Okay, so I'm going to cut some patterned paper for my inside cover, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here's what I added on the inside front cover. I loved this image, so I knew that had to go somewhere, and just kind of, again, just separating areas so people know where to sign. And I did add a couple extra like ephemera pieces throughout the album. I just went over and just added a couple little bits and pieces here and there because I just loved the ephemera, so I didn't want to waste it. I did add, I had these blank originally, and I did add some journaling cards there just to add a little bit extra, and a couple more ephemera pieces up here. I don't think I added anything to this page. Here I did add this envelope. So I did some magnets. As I was creating the envelope, I just put magnets here and here as I was folding it up and gluing it, and then magnets underneath here, so it just sits like that, and there's just a couple little pieces of ephemera and stuff to write on in there. And then I think I also put, I put the typewriter. I put the typewriter up here, and then I did the dress form here, just to add a little bit of extra elements. And then this is the back cover, just one full journaling sheet with some border strips. The back of the album itself, very, very simple. And then that is the front. I did also add some pullouts that are very simple, and I just put a couple of the words on each of them. Okay, and then the other one's the same. Alright, so I hope that you enjoyed creating this guest book with me. Obviously it can be done in other colors, but the nice thing about Victoria Designs kits is that they do come with the same kind of sizes for the journaling cards and the pattern papers and everything, so that no matter which kit you buy, you can use the same kinds of elements, like the same sizes of journaling cards, etc. So that's quite handy. If you'd like to see more of my tutorials, please head over to Lunar Sun Creations. The link should be down below. I have tons of tutorials, not just for albums, but for other mediums as well. And if you're on my channel watching this tutorial, down below in the description box is a little link that says buy me a coffee, and it's just a little virtual tip jar that really helps this channel to continue moving forward and bringing you tutorials. Alright, I love you all very much. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you'll give it a try. Sending you huge hugs. Bye!